Well, we've covered a lot of these confirmation hearings. I've never seen anything like this with these giant pictures of ailing people. It actually reminds me of the courtroom of John Wayne Gacy, not Amy Coney Barrett. I mean, he had the same pictures all around the courtroom. These really are not her victims. It'd be hard to come away visually without thinking that she was threatening these individuals. But that's the disconnect with this ACA case. The ACA, in most likelihood, will not be struck down. John Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh are expected by most people to support severability. So what's at issue in that case is whether the individual mandate being found unconstitutional means that the entire act has to be struck down. That's the issue. The individual mandate is already dead. The Congress negated the individual mandate. So the core question is not this overriding constitutional issue. It is one that cuts across the ideological spectrum, whether a whole statute should die if a critical part is removed or struck down. Justice Kavanaugh just handed down a decision where he gave a roaring endorsement of severability. And most people believe that they don't have close to the votes to strike down the entire act.
Professor, stand by. I want to bring in Chris Wallace, who joins our coverage as well. And Chris, what Professor Turley was referring to a moment ago reminded me of what Senator Lee said. The question before us is not about compassion for others with regard to the pictures of those that have been assembled there throughout that hearing room. Where do you think we are, Chris? What do you think we expect coming up next after the break?
Well, I want to respond to both Congressman Gowdy and to Professor Turley. Congressman Gowdy suggested, how did we get from almost unanimous votes for Ruth Bader Ginsburg and a unanimous vote for Antonin Scalia to the hyper-partisan situation we're in now? Now, there's not one step, but you have to look back at 2016 when Antonin Scalia died suddenly. And with, I think, 269 days to go, President Obama named Merrick Garland as his nominee to the court, and in an exercise of pure political power, not to say it's unconstitutional, but they simply decided they weren't going to entertain. They weren't going to meet with Merrick Garland. They weren't going to have a hearing on Merrick Garland. But now, with, 3 weeks, 22 days left to go, they're having the hearing for Judge Barrett. You know, there's nothing in the Constitution that says, well, if there are different parties, there's nothing in a legal precedent that says there isn't. It was simply a question that Mitch McConnell and the Republicans had the votes, and they decided they were going to block the Garland nomination, and they were going to push through the Barrett nomination. Then when it comes to policy, you hear the Republicans continue to say, look, they want to make Supreme Court nominees into super legislators. We're just talking about a judge applying the law. The problem with that, of course, is the fact that President Trump has said over and over again what he hopes to get from these judges, and talking about doing the right thing on issues like the Affordable Care Act. And then finally, to Judge Turley and Shannon Bream, who were suggesting it's really a reach to talk about the idea that they might strike down the Affordable Care Act. In fact, what they're hearing is a ruling by a Texas federal judge, which in fact struck down the entire Affordable Care Act. So it may be that the court doesn't decide to do that, but that's the case that's before the court, and that's the action that the judge at the lowest court took that they're going to be considering. So I don't think it's such a reach to say that is the potential implication of a 6-3 conservative majority on the court, that the Affordable Care Act will be on the docket when they hear that case.
Very interesting. Three things said there. We wanted to get a break here. Professor Turley, what about this point about Merrick Garland? You had a Republican Senate, Democratic president at the time. It's a Republican president and clearly a Republican Senate for now. What is your view on that?
Look, you need truly waiters to get through the rising hypocrisy from both parties. That's nothing new. Both parties are adopting the opposite views that they had in 2016. Although I'm not too sure the Democrats would be doing anything different if they were given this vacancy and this opportunity. But I want to note, and certainly Chris Wallace raises some good points, the lower court did strike down the ACA, but there there do not appear to be a majority. It does not appear to be a majority of votes from our count of overturning the entire act. In fact, the betting money is that conservatives might join liberals.
Jonathan, if I may, the point I'm simply making is this. That's what the court did. You're predicting how judges, including one who's not even on the court yet, are going to vote. I'm just saying.
No,
I'm not saying what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. Let me just finish. Okay. You don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know what's going to happen. But the fact is, for Democrats to talk about the cases of these individual people and to say that their lives might be at stake is not an irrational leap.
We want to hear your response.
That's the case that's being heard by the court.
Jonathan, we want to hear your response.
Right.
Hold it right there. We're going to take a really quick break, and we will be right back.
Well, what concerns me is that this is becoming a sort of milk carton hearing with all of these pictures surrounding the nominee. And the members making arguments of policy, saying how important the ACA is. And at the same time, they're accusing her of being overtly political. Those are not consistent positions. They're arguing for the policy and benefits of the ACA to a future justice who's not supposed to consider her decision on policy. She just looks at whether law is constitutional or legal in every respect. And where Chris and I disagreed is that, yes, the ACA was struck down by the lower court judge. But the betting of most legal experts is that at least 2 conservative justices will support sending it back to sever the one provision found to be unconstitutional. So my point is only that the assumption being made, as sort of brought through with all these pictures, is that this future justice is going to end health care for all these individuals. That's just not likely. And but more importantly, the arguments on the merits of the ACA, in my view, are really inappropriate for a confirmation hearing.